It looks like a rock someone pulled from the ground and forgot about. Gray, heavy, completely unremarkable. For 100 years, nobody knew what it was capable of. Then one night in Paris, a scientist left it in a drawer, and it burned through sealed paper, in complete darkness, without heat, without light, without anything. What came out of that drawer eventually gave us a pellet smaller than your fingertip, carrying the energy of an entire ton of coal. The same pellet, the same atoms, the same chain reaction that once erased 140,000 people from the map in a single morning, and today quietly keeps the lights on in half the world. This is the story of the most powerful, most misunderstood, and most dangerous element human hands have ever touched. His name was Martin Klaproth, a German chemist. The year was 1789. He was not trying to change the world. He was not chasing fame or power or discovery. He was just a man in a room, working through a dark, heavy mineral called pitchblende, the way chemists did then, methodically, patiently, alone. And somewhere in that quiet work, he pulled something out that had never been isolated before. A new element. He named it after the planet Uranus, which had been discovered just 8 years earlier. Uranium. And then, almost nothing happened. For 100 years, uranium sat in the footnotes of chemistry, used occasionally as a pigment, ground into powder and mixed into ceramics and glass, to produce a faintly greenish-yellow glow that people found decorative. Nobody asked why the glass glowed. Nobody thought to. It was just a nice effect, a parlor curiosity. What nobody knew, what nobody could have known, was that the glow was not decoration. It was a warning. And the warning had been sitting in people's homes, on their dining tables, in their children's hands, for a century. The warning finally announced itself in 1896, in Paris, in a drawer. A physicist named Henri Becquerel had been studying whether sunlight caused certain minerals to emit X-rays. His plan was simple. Leave uranium salts on top of a wrapped photographic plate in sunlight. See what happened. But Paris was cloudy that week. No sunlight came. So Becquerel put everything in a drawer and waited for better weather. When he came back, the plate was ruined, completely fogged, as if it had been fully exposed to light, except it had been sitting in a closed drawer, in the dark, wrapped in black paper. Something had come out of those uranium salts on its own. Invisible rays, penetrating through paper and wood and darkness like they simply did not exist. Becquerel did not know what it was, but he just knew. That matter was doing something that matter was not supposed to be able to do. That accidental discovery, born from cloudy weather and a forgotten drawer, had a name now: radioactivity. And it pulled in two scientists who would follow it further than anyone had dared. Marie and Pierre Curie looked at what Becquerel had found and asked a question nobody else had thought to ask. Not what is uranium doing, but why? What is actually happening inside that atom? The answer they found was so strange, so completely outside anything physics had described before, that it did not just change science. It changed everything that came after it. But to understand what they found, you need to understand something about the atom itself and what is hidden inside it. Something that most people who have heard of uranium have never been told. Not all uranium is the same. This matters more than almost anything else in this story. 99.3% of all uranium on Earth is a version called uranium-238. It is stable, patient. It barely reacts to anything. You could hold it. You would be fine. But hidden inside that 99.3% is a fraction so small it almost does not exist. 0.7%. Less than 1% of all uranium on Earth, called uranium-235. And uranium-235 is something else entirely. If you fire a single neutron at a uranium-235 atom, it does not absorb it. It does not deflect it. It shatters. The nucleus cracks open, releases heat, releases neutrons. Those neutrons hit other uranium-235 atoms. Those atoms shatter too, which releases more neutrons, which hit more atoms. In the time it takes you to blink, trillions of atoms have split. That is a chain reaction. And it is the most concentrated release of energy that physics allows. One fingertip-sized pellet, the energy equivalent of 1 ton of coal, the same process, the same atoms, the same split-second physics. Whether you are boiling water to run a turbine in a power station, or you are building something no one should ever have built, the science does not choose. The people do. And in 1939, some very specific people made a very specific choice. The letter arrived on President Roosevelt's desk in August 1939. It was signed by Albert Einstein. Einstein and physicist Leo Szilard had written to warn the president of something urgent. Nazi Germany was experimenting with uranium. They were working toward a weapon, like a weapon using exactly the chain reaction that Becquerel's cloudy Paris morning had started unraveling 40 years earlier. The letter asked a simple question with an enormous answer. What are we going to do about it? Roosevelt's response was the Manhattan Project. $2 billion. 130,000 people, working in complete secrecy across dozens of sites across America. All of it pointed at one objective. Take that 0.7% of uranium, enrich it, concentrate it, push it past 90% purity, and build what comes next. On August 6, 1945, a bomb called Little Boy was dropped on Hiroshima. It contained 64 kilograms of highly enriched uranium, less than the weight of an average 10-year-old child. In the first second, the temperature at ground zero reached several million degrees. By the end of the morning, 140,000 people were gone. Ian and the world had learned something it could never unlearn. That the glow in the antique glass, the fogged photographic plate in the Paris drawer, the fraction of an element, was capable of this? Here is what most people never sit with long enough. The uranium in a bomb and the uranium in a power station are the same element, the same atoms, the same chain reaction. In a power station, the chain reaction is controlled, slowed deliberately. The heat it produces boils water. The steam spins a turbine. The turbine generates electricity. And it does that without burning a single gram of carbon. No smoke, no emissions. A fingertip of fuel producing energy that would take a ton of coal to match. France runs 70% of its electricity on nuclear power. Has done for decades. Aren't the waste produced by France's entire nuclear program across 50 years fits inside a single large warehouse? Compare that to the billions of tons of carbon released by coal and gas in the same period. The numbers are not close. And yet, nuclear power carries a fear that coal never has. Because Chernobyl happened. Because Fukushima happened. Because Hiroshima happened. And because once you know what that chain reaction is capable of in the wrong hands, the right hands stop feeling like a guarantee. That is the weight uranium carries. It is the only element on the periodic table that forced humanity to ask a question science cannot answer. Not can we do this, but should we? Martin Klaproth in that candlelit room in 1789 had no idea. He found a rock, named it after a planet, and went home. The glow in the glass was just pretty. The fogged plate in the drawer was just a mistake. The chain reaction was just physics. None of it knew what it would become. Only we did. And what we did with it. What we are still doing with it. is the unfinished argument at the center of every conversation about energy, about weapons, about the future of this planet. Uranium is not a villain. It is not a savior. It is a test of whether the species that cracked the atom is wise enough to decide what to do with what comes out. Every ordinary thing around you has a story underneath it. The light in your ceiling right now, the glass you drank from this morning, the fuel in the ground beneath your feet. All of it has a history most people never heard. And some of those histories change how you see everything else. If that matters to you, subscribe to Simple Histories Explained. Because next time, we are looking at something even more invisible than uranium. Something that moves through your body right now as you watch this, has been moving through every living thing on Earth since the beginning, and was only discovered because of a mistake that almost nobody remembers.